welcome to Tyrone Bowman Live. It's going to be a hot button topic tonight. As always, it's going to be spirited, it's going to be different, and it's going to be unique at the same time. So, I'm your host, Tyrone Bowman. I'd like to take time out as I begin tonight and say thank you to all of my subscribers for subscribing to Tyrone Bowman Live. It's greatly appreciated. We're on our road to getting to that 1,000 mark. All right, two things. First, I'm going to talk about, and I'll go into a separate video and dig deeper into this one. R.F. Robert Kennedy Jr. suspended his campaign, endorsed Trump, and now he is on his transition team as if Trump has already won the election to help him transition into the White House. Kennedy is mad because as an independent he ran and he wasn't getting anywhere, and he went over to the Democratic National Committee to try to persuade Kamala Harris to give him a key position. And when he couldn't get what he wanted, then he defected and decided to go support Trump, whatever. Well, it seems like there's major news happening here tonight. I'm quite sure you saw the headline. So, according to CBS News, special counsel re-indicts Trump with narrower set of accusations after the Supreme Court immunity decision. Special counsel Jack Smith filed a superseding indictment against former President Donald Trump on Tuesday, in which he again accused Trump of resisting the peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 presidential election. Smith narrowed the allegations after a landmark Supreme Court ruling on presidential power earlier this year. So, the Supreme Court intervened, gave Trump great news, and now here comes a second indictment. The new 36-page charging document is based on a more refined set of allegedly criminal acts after the Supreme Court ruled Trump was immune from prosecution for some of the conduct included in Smith's original 45-page indictment returned last year. So far, Jack Smith, special counsel appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland, is laying out his case, line upon line, precept upon precept, or in legalese terms, layer upon layer upon layer. Prosecutors maintain the 4 counts against Trump that he previously faced, including conspiracy to defraud the United States, but limited the evidence included in the indictment and even removed one unnamed individual from a list of unindicted co-conspirators. The original indictment described that person as, quote, a Justice Department official who worked on civil matters and who, with the defendant, attempted to use the Justice Department to open sham election crime investigations and influence state legislatures with knowingly false claims of election fraud, end of quote. So now let's go into a little deeper here as to why this second indictment is going down in the midst of a presidential campaign. So, according to CBS News, the article continues to say this: it was believed to be Jeffrey Clark who led the Justice Department's Environmental and Natural Resources Division and later served as acting head of the Civil Division. Smith and his team said a federal grand jury in Washington returned the superseding indictment Tuesday. Prosecutors said they did not oppose waiving Trump's appearance at an arraignment on the new charging document. So it appears that Jack Smith, special counsel appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland, is not backing down. His claims, the claims that Trump said that are baseless through his attorneys, Jack Smith says that they're real and they want to have a trial. That's what they want to do. They want to go to trial. They want Trump convicted. That's the bottom line. But the problem is we're in the midst of a presidential campaign. And so since we're in the midst of a presidential campaign, they want to make sure that if he loses the election, he won't have any reason whatsoever to say that there was fraud that took place. Stay with me. I'm going to break it all down. Green tea is good for the body. No sugar. Again, detailing alleged acts like organizing fake slates of presidential electors or working with his private attorney on a legal strategy to subvert the transfer of power. Smith accused the former president of using his role as a candidate for office, not as president of the United States, to overturn the election results. You know, I've seen some political ads that the Trump campaign has put out. Number one, they're trying to make him appear that he is the greatest president in the history of America. No, he was not. As a matter of fact, according to historians, he's the worst president in the history of this nation, according to what historians are even now writing and talking about and saying. George Washington was probably the greatest president America had in the beginning because he was the first president. You know, you can't replace him. Trump says he's building himself as a champion for black people, so he's the best thing that ever happened to black people since Abraham Lincoln. What a crock of crap. And then he's selling all kind of weird stuff and trying to profit off of the attempted assassination by, he has the bobblehead a doll and sneakers and all this other type of paraphernalia. It's all about gimmickry. It's all about making money. It's all about using people. It's all about keeping his name alive in the news. He feels as though that if people just has his name on their lips, that he's more important than everybody. No one man can polarize a whole nation and think that he's greater than the nation. They keep saying no one is above the law. He said that if he's elected president, now listen to this one, that the evangelicals will never have to vote again, meaning he's going to become a dictator. Try to abolish the Constitution, try to abolish everything that's decent, and also, he wants people to believe that we should trust him, that black people should just blindly follow a white, privileged, racist, bigoted billionaire and just vote for him because he said so. Because he says he's winning in every poll. He says that he's got the blacks. You know, he doesn't even speak with respect to us, the blacks, as he calls us. What do you mean the blacks? What the hell is that? Suppose I say the white pertaining to him. I'm not the black, I'm a human being. I'm a man who happens to be a black man. So now the new superseding indictment is a response to last month's Supreme Court ruling in which the court's conservative majority ruled presidents and former presidents are immune from criminal prosecution for, quote, official acts, close quote, they take during their presidency. Some of the conduct alleged in Smith's original indictment, such as Trump's discussions with the Justice Department in the aftermath of the 2020 presidential election, was disqualified according to the July opinion written by Chief Justice John Roberts. Roberts divided presidential conduct into three categories: official acts that are part of president's, quote, core constitutional powers, close quote, other official acts that fall outside their, quote, exclusive authority, close quote, and unofficial acts. Presidential acts, presidents have, quote, absolute immunity for the first category, presumptive immunity for the second, which can be rebutted by the government, and no immunity for the third. In amplifying that legal test, the High Court ruled the charges against Trump could not be tied to conduct related to his official responsibilities as president. Other alleged conduct contained in charging documents, including Trump's interactions with then Vice President Mike Pence ahead of the January 6, 2021 election, certification of electoral college votes by Congress is a closer call, according to the Supreme Court. Other actions tied to campaigning is likely fair game for prosecution, the court said. Well, what about the insurrection that occurred? That's something people seem to just don't want to talk about. They seem to just want to ignore it like it never happened. Well, it did happen. People were killed. People lost their lives. Some people, they retired immediately after that, trying to survive what was unarguably probably the worst day in the history of America since the Civil War, really. And oftentimes individuals just really don't understand the scope of law. And that's why people have to pay attention to the way things are written, because sometimes it's written in code, sometimes it's written in cadence language, sometimes it's just written so people won't understand and just be confused. In a concurrent opinion, Justice Amy Coney Barrett says she believed Trump's alleged attempt to organize false slates of electors is private and therefore not entitled to protection. Lawyers for Trump also conceded during arguments before the justices in April that some of the acts contained in the indictment entailed, quote, private conduct that could not be shielded from criminal charges, such as those involving outside lawyers who helped execute the alleged scheme to submit fraudulent slates of electors. Who hired them? Seriously, let's just deal with it. Who hired the outside lawyers? He did. Who came up with the scheme? His lawyers did. Who knew about it? He did. Who authorized? He did. These are things that people really don't want to talk about. Why? Because it's bothersome to most people, because they want to be the best. Well, you got to deal with all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The High Court tasked the judge overseeing the case, U.S. District Court Judge Tanya Chutkan, with parsing Smith's indictments to determine which alleged acts were official and unofficial. After the mandate returned to her court following the Supreme Court's decision, Chutkan asked prosecutors to file a brief outlining their arguments for a path forward in the case by August 30. A hearing in the case is set for September 5. By filing the superseding indictment against the former president, the special counsel appears to have opted to forego a possible evidentiary hearing in the case that would have forced prosecutors to publicly reveal the evidence that they have collected against Trump ahead of trial. A source close to Trump's legal team told CBS News Tuesday. This was not a surprise. This is what the government is supposed to do, based on what the Supreme Court did. It doesn't change our position that we believe Smith's case is flawed and it should be dismissed. The source added that Trump's lawyers were asked for more time to brief this case, which could put off a start to the trial if Judge Chutkan agrees. She's not going to agree to it. And Trump only wants to be president for one thing and one thing: shut down all the investigations, pardon himself, shut it all down like he did, like William Barr, his attorney general, did. He did all the dirty work and then Barr lied about it. He lied about it. Barr was an outright two-faced liar. I don't care what you say. That's what he was and that's what he is. William Barr. Smith charged Trump over a year ago with 4 counts tied to his conduct after the 2020 presidential election. Prosecutors alleged the former president conspired to subvert the peaceful transfer of power through a pressure campaign at the state and federal level that culminated in the January 6th Capitol attack. It happened. It's a stipulated fact. Just like in Philadelphia, when the police dropped the bomb on the Move compound and burned down almost 100 houses, burned down the entire neighborhood. There was no justification for it. They tried to blame each other for it. They tried to blame the mayor. The mayor blamed the commissioner. The name game was going all around. Finally, the mayor took total responsibility for everything. A panel was convened. The inquisition was convened to get to the bottom of why this happened. Trump pleaded not guilty to those original counts and has denied all wrongdoing. Much of the conduct alleged in that first indictment remains in Smith's new charging documents, with notable exceptions including the former president's work with Justice Department officials and references to co-conspirator number 4. The Supreme Court ruled such conduct was absolutely immune from prosecution, as they said it fell squarely within Trump's exclusive constitutional authority. Prosecutors accused Trump of working to pressure state officials to overturn their election results and said he and 5 unnamed co-conspirators worked to assemble a slate of alternate electors ahead of the election certification in Washington, D.C. Watch what happens. The closer they get to trial, people are going to start making plea deals to testify against Trump. Right now, they're keeping their mouths shut. But when the pressure comes down and they find out that he is not going to fall on the sword for them and they're going to have to deal with it themselves, people will begin to talk. Notably, the new indictment also repeats allegations that Trump tried to enlist Pence in his alleged scheme, but clarifies that prosecutors view Pence not as a vice president in this matter, but as Trump's running mate in a political race. It also emphasizes Pence's role by virtue of the Constitution as president of the Senate, who played a ceremonial role during the certification of electoral votes on January 6th. Why are you dragging Pence into this? Vice President Pence didn't have anything to do with it. He absolutely had nothing to do with the January 6th insurrection. Nothing. So why is he even named in this? But the document eliminates at least one call between Trump and Pence on December 29th, 2020, in which the former president allegedly relayed to him the false claim that the Justice Department was finding major infractions. It also appears to no longer include mentions of Trump's discussions with White House lawyers or agency heads about the integrity of the 2020 election, such as assertions from high-ranking government officials that there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud. Prosecutors reference in the new filing Trump's remarks outside the White House on January 6th as a campaign speech at a privately funded, privately organized political rally held on the Eclipse. During his speech, the supporters of the former president continued to raise unfounded claims the election had been rigged against him and encouraged his supporters to walk down to the Capitol to protest the election results. Well, we all know how that ended, don't we? Wasn't pretty, it wasn't nice. Never surrender, never quit.